Well, hi there, everybody. It's Dan Cirucci, and here I am on the last day of 2020. This is the end, folks. This is the end of that year you've all been complaining about. That awful, awful year that you've been complaining about ever since, I guess it was, sometime, I don't know, in the first or second week of March that it all started to fall apart. And yeah, it's been quite a year. I have to say that. I've been through quite a few years myself, as some of you may have figured out by now. And I can't remember a year quite like this, although I can remember some pretty awful, awful years. One of them that I lived through and was very much a part of was 1968, a year that really just tore this country apart, tore the country apart. It was just dreadful. And of course, I remember the Vietnam War years, which were really, really bad years when the nation was anguished and we lost so many bright, wonderful young people, including a handful of graduates of my high school, young men that graduated high school with me. I still remember them, and I still revere their memory and pray for their families, because those were bad years. I remember the years of the energy crisis in this country when we had to wait in long lines for gas. The years under Jimmy Carter. I know a lot of people that feel Jimmy Carter's been rehabilitated. He's a great statesman, and he periodically turns up in these polls of most admired people, and has for quite a while. But believe me, let me tell you, I lived through the Carter years. I was trying to raise a family. I was starting my career. It was an awful, awful time to be starting your career. It was an awful time to try to buy a home. The interest rates were 15%, folks. 15%. Can you believe that? That's what they were. Now they're like 2%. Okay, so that was a dreadful time. And the time of the energy crisis, when President Carter told us to, turn down the temperature in our homes and wear a sweater, and then we had to wait in these lines and so forth and so on. You had odd and even numbered days for gas. And we had times in the 1970s of terrible, terrible inflation. I remember President Ford trying to lessen the inflation and tried to impose regulations and so forth, and came up with a slogan, win. I remember they had buttons, win, and it meant whip inflation now. It was not a good time. A time during President Nixon, when President Nixon had to impose wage and price controls to try to control the runaway inflation. And during the time of President Carter, we had what they called stagflation in this country, if you can imagine that. We had incredible inflation and a stagnant economy at the same time. It can't get much worse as far as economic concerns, folks. So I lived through all these periods looking back. I mean, at the end of the year, it's a time to look back and look forward. When I look back, I have to say that the decade that was kindest to me and my young family as we were starting out was without question the 1980s. The 1980s were a sort of golden time in America, a time of tremendous prosperity. Jobs were plentiful, and for the most part, peace. A time of tremendous optimism, and a time of tremendous growth, and many, many, many people did well during that period. You can see how America's fortunes are so often related to the economy, because one of the big things we sort of threw away when we locked down the country, which I'm not saying we didn't have to do it. That's a whole other debate. But one of the things was the way that the economy suffered. So you have to put these things in perspective. America itself has not, these are not years that I lived through, although some of you may think I'm that old, but America during the World War II and World War I years were dreadful, dreadful years. There aren't many people alive that still remember World War II. But from those who gave testimony and who lived through it, it was very, very difficult. Certainly the years of the Great Depression, I hope you've all studied that and learned about that. And the 1930s in this country were just awful, awful years. Um, World War One, of course, and World War One happened at the same time as the last big pandemic in the country, okay, which was the Spanish flu, and huge numbers of people died, and there were, I don't think there were any vaccines for that, and if they did come along and came along much 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 later, we never had a vaccine produced this quickly. Thank you, Operation Warp Speed. Thank you, President Trump. They should call it the Trump vaccine. It was a great, great example of public private partnership, the kind of thing that should be happening all the time in this country. Lesser government regulation, lesser government imposition, clear goals, a strong leader, and public private partnership in a time of crisis. What a wonderful thing that happened, that this vaccine is now available now in New Jersey. We now find out that Governor Murphy is giving the vaccine to people in prisons before older people in nursing homes are getting it. Let me repeat this. The vaccine in New Jersey is going to convicted criminals in prisons before it's going to older people in nursing homes. Let that sink in for a moment, okay? Because to me, this is one of the dumbest goddamn things I ever heard. Well, will wonders ever cease, you know? Every day is a new adventure, isn't it, folks? And we never know. So we have to be thankful that we're all here. Every day is a gift. Whether you're young or old, although when you get older, you sort of appreciate it a little bit more. It's a little bit sweeter. You know, that song about, somebody's getting older and he stops to admire the little children a little more. He or she stops to smell the roses a little more. All of these things become a little bit more valuable to you as the years pass and you get older. But I want you to remember this on the last day of 2020 as we turn the page of the calendar and begin 2021. Oh my God, I almost hearing 2021. I can't believe that I'm still here and I'm saying those words and it's actually 2021, you know? Oh my goodness. Anyway, as we turn the page, I want you to remember that it's all psychological. The new year, the end of one year and the beginning of another is just, it's just another day. Okay, it's just another day on the calendar. It's a unit of measurement. That's basically what it is. There's no real holiday connected to it. I mean, people have the day off, but I don't think it has any particular significance uh, other than as a unit of measurement. So just like any other unit of measurement involving time, seconds, hours, minutes, hours, days, months, weeks, months, years. It's just a unit of measurement. It's like an inch or a quarter inch or a pint or a half a pint or any one of those other units of measurements. That's all it is. And I think it's healthy to sort of look upon it that way. Don't attach too much significance to it. Okay. Don't let it hover over you like some big mammoth thing, because it's not. And I always say, don't make New Year's resolutions. They're dumb. They're stupid. Okay. You can. I'm not saying you shouldn't have goals. You should have goals. Everybody should have goals. You should set goals. Well, don't be too rigid about it, and don't be too hard on yourself with these goals and other things. Don't be too driven, because this kind of stuff, it can run away with you. You can run away with it, and it gets out of proportion. Gets out of proportion. So don't make New Year's resolutions. If you're going to do something, just go ahead and do it. Don't make a big thing about it and make a resolution. There's something about the word resolution that I think makes it all more austere and overwhelming. And then that kind of thing hangs over you. You see the commercials on television about, going to the gym now. They're giving you practically free membership at the gyms. And those all you're going to see all commercials now about diets and resolutions and doing new things. And for a lot of people, these things last about a week or at best a month, and then they're forgotten. And then they wind up feeling bad about themselves. Okay. So this is my advice. If you're going to do something, you don't have to go through an elaborate thing. You know in your mind what you should be doing, how you should be acting, the way you should be conducting your life. If you're overweight, you are. You don't have to be told. Okay. So just do something about it. Go on the internet, find out what you can do. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't go on a crash diet. That's not good. That's not healthy. But just persevere day by day and try to do a little something. Try to do a little something in that direction each day, little by little, day by day. Don't overwhelm yourself. That would be my advice to you. Now, I always find New Year's Eve to be funny and silly. And again, basically stupid. There's no great meaning to it. People attach all this. And I think it's funny that these different towns and cities have like New York has the ball drop. They're going to drop the ball in New York tonight. Nobody's going to be there. I don't know. They're actually going to spray out all that spaghetti, all that. I wish they were spraying spaghetti, all that confetti over Times Square. They're going to spray out. I don't know how much confetti. It's going to be like really dense, like a really dense snow full of confetti. There's not going to be anybody there except the performers who will be performing for television. This is going to be virtual through television, and I guess Ryan Seacrest will be there. But that's about it. I don't understand it. But these other towns and cities, I don't know whether they're actually going to have these tonight. I guess a lot of them aren't. Raleigh, North Carolina has an acorn drop. Carlisle, Pennsylvania has a car drop. I'm not exactly sure why. Miami, of course, as you would expect, has an orange drop. Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, which I happen to know a few people there in Kennett Square, and it's close to my heart. And as you would expect, they have the mushroom drop. I don't know if that's going to be virtual this year or what, but they have a giant lit up mushroom. It's really beautiful that they drop. Atlanta, Georgia has a peach drop, as you might expect. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania is the home of Peeps. Those Peeps that everybody enjoys at Easter. And Easter's going to be around before you know it. Well, they have a Peeps drop. And Marion, Ohio has a popcorn drop. Gee, I wonder if they shoot out popcorn into the sky, or if it's just a big kernel of popcorn that they drop. I think it would be fun if they shot out popcorn into the sky, and then you can just hold your head back and hold your mouth open and hope that some popcorn drops into your mouth. And Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, a lot of towns in Pennsylvania have these drops, has a strawberry drop. I'm not really sure why, except maybe they raise a lot of strawberries around there. And Orlando, Florida also has an orange. Winter Haven, Florida drops a big Lego, I guess a single Lego or a bunch of Lego. I'm not sure. Indianapolis has an Indy car drop, as you might expect. In Eastport, Maine, they drop a big sardine. I can't even, I hope it's not, I hope it doesn't smell like a sardine. And in Frederick, Maryland, they drop a giant key. I don't know whether that has something to do with Francis Scott Key or something else. I'm not sure. In Princess Anne, Maryland, they drop a, a stuffed muskrat. I don't know why. You'll have to look that one up. A Princess Anne, Maryland. It's a stuffed muskrat. In Traverse City, Michigan, they drop a big cherry. Now, you see, that's what they should be doing here in Cherry Hill, where I live, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They should start. Is the mayor listening? Mayor, but I can't even remember the mayor's name, the current member. She doesn't have a very Shin Anglo, Mayor Shin Anglo. She's the first Korean American mayor. I don't know, maybe in all of New Jersey. I don't know. Certainly in Cherry Hill, and I was just going to say she hasn't had a very high profile this year. She took office a year ago. They should have a giant cherry drop at Cherry Hill. It would be fun. It would be a good community event. I don't know if this year would have been a good year to start it because you got to worry about crowds and so forth. Niagara Falls, they drop a Gibson guitar. Elmore, Ohio drops a big sausage. They have a drop of a large sausage. I'm not going to. I don't think I'm going to say any more about that one. I'm just going to leave that there. You can imagine that, a large sausage coming at you. Just think about that one for a while. And Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Here we go with Pennsylvania again. Lebanon bologna. Lebanon. I say bologna. Some people say bologna, but it's Lebanon bologna. They drop. Again, I have to ask: are they slices of bologna? In which case, you grab one and eat it. I don't think so. And Hilton Head. Oh, I love Hilton Head. It's one of my favorite places in the world. Hilton Head, South Carolina, as you might expect, drops a large golf ball because it is a golf mecca, but it's also a tennis mecca. So they could drop a tennis ball, and they're also known for their alligators. So they could drop an alligator, but they chose to drop a golf ball. In Folly Beach, South Carolina, they drop giant flip-flops. So I guess to that event, you ought to wear your flip-flops, even if it's a little chilly, wear your flip-flops. What the hell? People do crazy things on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And by the way, a lot of places have the polar bear plunge tomorrow. I don't know if it's still going to come off. I know in a lot of seaside resorts. In Fredericksburg, Virginia, they drop a pear. And in New Orleans, they drop a fleur-de-lis. The fleur-de-lis, that's the symbol that the New Orleans Saints wear on their helmets. It's a French thing, the fleur-de-lis. In Bartlesville, Oklahoma, they drop an olive. So if you're going to that one, bring a martini glass. And you can hope that olive, or you've got to probably bring a very, very big martini glass. Hope that olive drops into your martini glass, or maybe maybe a lot of olives will drop from the sky and one will land in your martini glass. In Nashville, Tennessee, as you might expect, another one of my favorite places in the whole country. They drop a music note because it's Music City, USA. Oh, hell, I miss going to Nashville and seeing real live, good old-fashioned country music at the Grand Ole Opry. It's one of the most wonderful places in America, in the world, really. And Plymouth, Wisconsin, of course, they drop a cheese wedge. It is Wisconsin, And Flagstaff, Arizona, they drop a pine cone. Okay, that's sort of like in near the Grand Canyon, right? So, um, and and in they drop a cheese, and in Boise, Idaho, they drop a giant potato, as you would expect in Idaho, and in Las Cruces, New Mexico, they drop a chili pepper. Imagine that, a giant chili pepper coming at you. And in Prescott, Arizona, they drop a big boot. So I guess that's sort of like cowboy country. So they drop a big boot. And in Tem- Temecula, California, had to check that pronunciation. They drop a bunch of grapes. That must be in wine country. Okay, that's in wine country. So you can go there with your glass of wine. And when that giant grape comes down and lights up, you can drink your wine. I love wine country in California. If you've never been there, oh my God, go. First chance you get after this madness is over, go out there and visit the wineries. It's marvelous. And while you're there, spend some time in one of the most beautiful cities in our whole country, Santa Barbara, one of my favorite places on earth. Oh, it's exquisite. The town is absolutely exquisite. There's the ocean on one side. You look this way, you see the ocean. You look that way, you see the mountains, and you're right in between. And every day is just glorious, glorious in Santa Barbara. And Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, they drop a wrench. Here we go with Pennsylvania again. They drop a wrench. Watch out. Don't get too close to that. You don't want to be under there. You're liable to get hit by that wrench. Okay, it's going to take you a long time to recover. In Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, get ready for this, Neil. They drop a giant pickle. A giant pickle. And um, that's it. It's something about Pennsylvania. You know, they have all these different drops. They have Groundhog Day. Uh, there's a lot of little weird things about the state, not the least of which was how the last election was conducted there, and in Michigan, and in Wisconsin, and in Georgia, and in Arizona. Talk about weird, folks. It really has been a strange and curious year, or to take from Alice in Wonderland. It's been curiouser and curiouser, though, hasn't it, though? Hasn't it? Great to be with you on this last day of 2020, getting ready for 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope it's a wonderful, healthy, happy, joyous, and prosperous year for you and everybody that you care about, and for our whole country and for all the world as well. Happy New Year, everybody. Woo!